objective, one-step equation. So let's start with some definitions. Definition number one, a solution is the value of the variable that makes the equation true. Definition number two, inverse operations are operations that undo each other. So addition undoes subtraction, vice versa, subtraction undoes addition. Multiplication undoes division, and division undoes multiplication. They are opposites of each other. Definition number three, an equation. An equation is a mathematical sentence with an equal sign. If it doesn't have an equal sign, then it's called an expression. Definition number four, an equivalent equation. So these are two equations that have the same solution or solutions because we could have more than one answer. Big number one is the golden rule of algebra. So you'll hear me say this tons and tons of times. Whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you must do to the other side of the equal sign. Big number two. You want the variable positive and alone on one side of the equal sign. This will give you the solution. So the variable has to be positive and it has to be by itself. Example number one, x plus 10 equals 15. So here's the problem, and I draw this line to separate, this is one side of the equal sign and this is the other side of the equal sign. So we have two sides of the equation. Now, to solve this, you need to use inverse operations to get the variable alone or by itself. So here I have x plus 10. The opposite of adding 10 would be to subtract 10. The inverse of addition is subtraction. So I've subtracted 10 from both sides of the equation. Plus 10 minus 10 gives you 0. Carry down x. So x plus 0 equals 15 minus 10 is 5. Now, x plus 0 is just x, so x equals 5. Okay, so this would be our solution. And we need to check our answer. So take 5, and where x was, plug it in. So take x out, and put parentheses, and put your answer that you got in, and see if it's the same on both sides. So 5 plus 10 is 15, and 15 carries down. So 15 is equal to 15. This is a true statement. These are equivalent equations. Therefore, these three little dots in a triangle mean therefore the solution is correct. Example number two. Negative 18 plus y equals 12. So the opposite of negative 18 is, well, so this is subtract 18. We're going to add 18 to both sides of the equal sign. Negative 18 plus 18 is 0. Carry down y. 12 plus 18 is 30. 0 plus y is y, and 30 carries down. Now, you don't see a number in front of y, but there's an invisible 1 there. So we know we have y, it's alone, and it's positive, so we have our answer. Now check to make sure 30 is correct. Plug it in to the original equation. So I've copied the original equation. Take y out and plug in 30 inside parentheses. Negative 18 plus 30 is 12. 12 is equal to 12, so this answer is correct. Example number three. Negative 5n equals 25. So this is negative 5 times n. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide by negative 5 because it was multiplied by negative 5. So divide both sides of the equal sign by negative 5. Now, negative 5 divided by negative 5 is positive 1. A negative over a negative is a positive. So I have 1n equals 25 divided by negative 5 is negative 5. 1n equals negative 5. Now, 1 times n is just n, so I don't need to write that 1. n equals negative 5. That's your answer. So check your solution. Here's the original problem. Take the n out, put parentheses, and plug in your answer, which was negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25, and that's equal to 25. Example number 4. M divided by negative 2 equals negative 10. Now this is m divided by -2. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by -2. So I multiply by -2 here, and I multiply by -2 on the other side of the equal sign. Now this is -2 over 1. So when you multiply, you can see that -2 and -2 would cross simplify. Those would cancel each other out. So I just have m, 1m. -10 times -2, a negative times a negative is a positive. 10 times 2 is 20, so positive 20. Again, 1 times m is just m, so I don't need to write that 1, and m is equal to 20. We can check our answer by plugging into our original equation. So instead of m, plug in 20. 20 divided by -2 is -10. -10 equals -10. Example number 5. 3/4 x equals 9. So this is 3/4 times x. Well, this problem and example 4 are similar. Here I multiplied by -2. Well, the reciprocal of, there's an imaginary 1 on top, 1/2 is 2. So a -1/2 is -2. Multiply by the reciprocal. It saves you a step. Now this is 3 times x divided by 4, or 3/4 times x. So we can just flip the fraction and multiply. So flip 3/4, you get 4/3. Multiply both sides by 4/3. 4/3 times 3/4 is 1. So that just gives you 1 here. It saves you some steps. 9 times 4/3, so this is 9 over 1. When we multiply fractions, we multiply the tops together, and then we multiply the bottoms. So 9 times 4 is 36. 1 times 3 is 3. So I have 1x equals 36 divided by 3, and 36 divided by 3 is 12. So x equals 12. Now let's check to make sure this is correct. 3/4 times x equals 9. Take x out, plug in 12, put it in parentheses. 3 times 12 is 36, and 4 is on the bottom, so this is like 12 over 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. 9 equals 9, so this answer is correct. Now we're going to do some practice problems. First one, -3.5 equals m minus 2.5. So I have my variable on the right side of the equation. It doesn't matter which side it's on, you're going to get it by itself. So minus 2.5, the opposite would be to add 2.5. Add 2.5 to both sides of the equal sign. So I draw that line to separate. This is one side of the equal sign and this is the other side. Add 2.5. So -3.5 plus 2.5 is -1.0 or -1. -2.5 plus 2.5 is 0. Carry down m. m plus 0 is just m. Now I have -1.0 equals m. That's the same thing as saying m equals -1. -1.0. Alright, we can check. So here's the original equation. Take m out and plug in your answer that you found, -1.0, and solve. -1.0 minus 2.5 is -3.5. Both sides are equal, so our answer is correct. Alright, number 2. K plus 3/11 equals 8/11. So I want k by itself. I need to get rid of plus 3/11. So the opposite would be to subtract. Subtract 3/11 from both sides of the equal sign. So I draw my line so I know I'm doing it. This side and the other side. 3/11 minus 3/11 is 0. So I have k plus 0. 8/11 minus 3/11. If they have the same denominator, 11, the bottom, is both the same, then you're going to subtract the tops. So it's 8 minus 3, which is 5. 5/11. K plus 0 is just k, so k equals 5/11. And you can check this. So where k was in the original equation, you're going to plug in 5/11ths. So 5/11ths plus 3/11ths equals 8/11ths. 5 plus 3 is 8. When you're adding fractions, the bottoms stay the same if they are already the same. So 8/11ths equals 8/11ths. That's true. So this is our answer. Number 3, y minus -4. Now, you're typically not going to see two signs next to each other, but if you do, go ahead and simplify it to make it easier on yourself. So we have minus a negative. So subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding a positive. So change those to plus signs. So really this is y plus 4 equals 6. Now that makes it a lot easier to solve. So the opposite of adding 4 would be to subtract 4 from both sides of the equal sign. So I have y plus 4 minus 4, that gives me y plus 0. And 6 minus 4 is 2. Y plus 0 is just y, so y equals 2. And again, let's check our answer. So go over here and check. The original problem, y minus a -4 equals 6. Now you might be thinking, why do I have these parentheses here? Well, that's to separate so that you don't get confused that there are two signs together. So y is 2. 2 minus -4. Remember, minus a negative is the same thing as adding a positive. So I'm going to change those signs to pluses. So 2 plus 4 equals 6. Yes, 6 equals 6. All right, practice number 4. R divided by -3 equals -101. Now, I need to get rid of the divided by -3. So the opposite would be to multiply both sides by -3. So -3 here and times -3 here. So we're multiplying these two things and these things. -3 times r divided by -3 is just going to give you r. The -3's will cross simplify. -101 times -3 is positive 303. So I have r equals 303. Let's check. So I'm going to go down here and check. Type in 303 where r was. So here's the original. Instead of r, I'm going to put 303. 303 divided by -3 is -101. -101 equals -101. And our last problem. 3/4 n equals -3/8. So we have a fraction times our variable. To undo this fraction, because it's multiplied by our variable, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. You just flip it and you do the same thing to both sides of the equation. So I multiplied by 4/3 on the left side of the equation. I multiplied by 4/3 on the right side of the equation. 4/3 times 3/4 is just 1. So 1 times n. Now I have these two fractions to multiply. -3 times 4 is -12. Remember, you multiply tops and then you multiply bottoms. 8 times 3 is 24. Now let's simplify. 1 times n is just n. -12 divided by 24. You can simplify this fraction to -1/2. Let's check our answer. Remember, go to the original. 3/4 n equals negative 3/8. And where n was, plug in negative 1/2. And let's see if this is true. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. 4 times 2 is 8. Negative 3 over 8 equals negative 3 over 8. So our answer is correct.